You know, we all want what's best for our kids, right? We push them to succeed, but what if that very push is actually setting them up to fail? What if this whole chase for achievement is creating a lifetime of anxiety and depression? Okay, let's really get into it because the evidence is becoming impossible to ignore.
Just let that sink in for a second. This quote, it's from a varsity athlete who is getting by on like 5 hours of sleep a night just to keep her grades up. That image of running laps with your eyes closed? Wow, it's such a powerful and devastating metaphor for what's happening. A whole generation running a race they didn't really choose, on a course someone else laid out for them, and they're just too exhausted to even see where they're going.
So for decades, whenever you heard the term at-risk youth, your mind probably went to kids dealing with really tough stuff, like poverty or community violence. That's what we all thought. But then, in 2019, developmental scientists pointed to a brand new group, and honestly, it's a shocking one.
Yep, you are reading that correctly. Students in these so-called high-achieving schools, we're talking about the super competitive public and private schools with all the academic pressure, are now officially considered uniquely vulnerable. The researchers found that they suffer from, and this is a direct quote, ubiquitous pressures to excel in, well, pretty much everything. And all this pressure, it's having a real measurable impact. I mean, the U.S. Surgeon General even put out a rare public advisory about youth mental health, and this number is just staggering. In just 10 years, between 2009 and 2019, the number of high schoolers reporting persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness jumped 40%. This is way, way beyond teenage angst. This is a public health crisis.
And this isn't something kids just get over. The damage is long-term. See, our bodies just aren't designed to handle this kind of chronic, non-stop stress. It literally puts them at a higher risk for serious physical diseases down the road. We're talking heart disease, diabetes, even cancer. And maybe the most frightening part? By the time they turn 26, they are 2 to 3 times more likely to struggle with addiction. The stakes are just incredibly high.
Okay, so where's all this pressure even coming from? It's really easy to just point the finger at a few helicopter parents, right? But the truth is, it's so much bigger than that. This is a deep cultural thing, and it's driven by anxieties that, if we're being honest, a lot of us feel.
This really is the million-dollar question, and the answer has nothing to do with a lack of love. It's a powerful, and often totally unconscious, drive to protect our children's future in a world that just feels more and more uncertain and competitive. Researchers have a name for this. They call it status safeguarding, and it's basically an evolutionary instinct. When we sense a threat to our kids' place in the social pecking order, like getting a bad grade or not making the top team, our brains literally release stress hormones. It's a biological alarm system that was designed for actual survival. But now it's getting tripped by college applications. And just look at how much things have changed in only one generation. Parenting today has become this really intense, hands-on, high-stakes project. And why is that? Well, it's because the entire economic landscape has fundamentally shifted under our feet.
This right here, this is the engine that's driving so much of that anxiety. Back in the 70s, having a college degree meant you earned about 50% more. Pretty good. Today, that premium has doubled. College grads make twice as much. The gap between the haves and have-nots has become a giant chasm, and it's created this scarcity mindset where it feels like there's only one very narrow path to a secure life, and your kid has to get on it. Okay, so that's all pretty heavy. If the problem is a culture that ties our kids' worth to their list of achievements, then what's the solution? Well, it turns out to be a really powerful psychological nutrient that our kids are desperate for. The whole concept is called mattering. It sounds simple, but it's incredibly profound. It's the feeling that you are seen, that you're cared for, and that you're understood for who you really are, and also that your contributions, big or small, are meaningful to other people. Think of it like this. Mattering is kind of like a big umbrella, and underneath it are all our other core human needs. The need to belong, to feel competent, to have a purpose. When we feel like we matter, we have this solid foundation for our mental health that no trophy or acceptance letter could ever provide. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. I mean, I have never met a parent who doesn't love their kid with their whole heart. The problem isn't the love, it's the perception. Kids often feel like our love is conditional on how well they perform. Our kids are like little detectives. They are masters at decoding our behavior. They hear the things we're not saying. So when we celebrate the A+, but then get all quiet and tense after a C, they don't hear, "I'm disappointed for you." They hear, "I'm disappointed in you." And that silence can feel like love is being withdrawn. So this is really the heart of it.
It isn't enough for us to feel unconditional love for our kids. They have to perceive it. They have to feel it in their bones. This gap between our intention and their perception, that's where a child's sense of worth can start to get dangerously eroded.
So how do we close that gap? Well, researchers have actually identified these 7 key ingredients. It starts with simple attention, just being seen. And it grows into feeling importance, that you're significant. It's also about dependence, knowing that you are genuinely needed. Then there's appreciation for what you do, and noted absence, that feeling that you truly be missed. It's about being known for who you really are. That's individuation. And finally, ego extension, which is knowing someone is so invested in you that your wins and losses feel like their own. When all these needs are met, kids feel secure in who they are, not just what they accomplish.
Okay, so let's make this practical. Building a sense of mattering in our kids, it doesn't mean we have to add more stuff to their already packed schedules. It's actually about small, consistent shifts in how we interact with them day to day.
I absolutely love this one. It's called the puppy dog principle. Just think about how a dog greets you when you walk in the door. It's pure, unfiltered excitement. That sends such a powerful message. I'm just so happy that you exist. It's a greeting that has absolutely nothing to do with how they did on a test or whether they won their game.
And there are other simple but really powerful shifts we can make. For example, making chores mandatory isn't about discipline. It's about showing kids they're dependent on, that they add real value to the family. And check out that last question. Just shifting from what grade did you get to are you proud of your work? That completely redefines success from being about an external number to being about an internal sense of effort and pride.
At the end of the day, it really all comes down to this. That relentless pursuit of perfection, of squeezing out every last point, it comes at a cost. The most crucial thing we can do is teach our kids that their worth is absolute and it is not tied to a score. Because the price of chasing that tiny bit of extra achievement, well, it can be their well-being, their health, and sometimes their entire life. And what could possibly be more valuable than that?